Hello, hello. So today I went to Hobby Lobby and I was just looking at their paints. I never really buy paints there because I have all the supplies I need and I usually go to Blick or somewhere else online. But anyways, I saw that they had Master's Touch Gouache and I've never seen that before. So I'm thinking this must be new. So I decided I'm going to buy a packet because it was for 50% off, because Hobby Lobby does have that 50% off sale on Master's Touch all the time. So it was only going to cost me $5 for 12 tubes. And so I went ahead and decided to get it. And of course, I was going to try it as soon as I came home, and I decided I was going to compare it with my Arteza set because I do have Holbein, but I know that probably doesn't compare. So I figured maybe Arteza and Master Touch would be more comparable. So I went ahead and did the comparison test. So I went ahead and poured out these paints in a palette. The ones in the little circular areas are the Master's Touch, and the ones in the rectangle are the Arteza. And look how similar they look in color, in hue. Everything looks the same. I mean, there's just a little difference between the crimson reds. Maybe one looks, I'd say the Master's Touch looks a tad darker, but seriously, they just look the same. So I swatched them out on a piece of white paper, and lo and behold, I mean, they look the same. I mean, you can barely tell the difference. So here I am comparing some side to side, and again, I can't even tell like which one is Master's Touch and which one is Arteza. Comparing. And here we are looking at the Vermilion green, the green pale, the burnt sienna, Prussian blue, black, and guess what? The Arteza paint names are the same as the Master's Touch paint names. So right here I'm looking at the lemon yellow, and they are both PY3. And so those are the same. Okay, so the green pale and the pale green, they're basically the same color when I was using it, but it looks like the Master's Touch has, let's see, yellow PY3 and blue PG15, and the Arteza has PG7 and PY3. So they're a little different, but they look very similar on white paper and the dark paper. Okay, so the Vermilion green, they are the same. They both have the same pigments in those. Two different pigments. So those are the same. Now we're looking at crimson red. It looks like they have different pigments. The Arteza has the PR21, PR13, and the Master's Touch has red PR... I can't tell, it looks like PR8. Okay, we're looking at Vermilion, and I'm sorry, but these letters are so tiny I can barely see it, but it looks like the Master's Touch has two pigments, and the Arteza has only one pigment, PR4. There are 6 more colors, but I'm going to go ahead and continue with the comparison swatches. Here is the Arteza white swatch, and I'll compare it with the Master's Touch. I did 2 swatches for the Master's Touch. The Master's Touch actually looks more opaque, but in reality, I may have used a little bit more water with the Arteza. Here they are swatched out in pairs. The pair on the left is the Master's Touch, and the pair on the right is the Arteza. And so when you look at the Master's Touch on the left side and you look at the far left swatch, that is just a single swatch. And then the one right next to it is a double layer, just to see how it would look building on opacity. And so I did the same thing with the Arteza on the right side. So we know that the crimson reds were different. And yes, the Master's Touch was a little darker. And so you can see that here in this swatch test or comparison. The Arteza look a little bit more opaque for the yellow ochre. I did notice that in comparison. And here is the Vermilion for the Arteza. Here is the Master's Touch Vermilion. Much more transparent, but again, on white paper, it didn't seem to make a difference. The lemon yellow look very much the same, very much. And again, the second swatch is a double, or I would say a second layer, so they were pretty opaque. And then we have Prussian blue and black. So now I'm going to put those paints in action. I went ahead and painted some strawberries in Master's Touch and Arteza. So the Arteza's on the right and the Master's Touch is on the left. And look, they look the same. I mean, everything is pretty much the same on both of these. I don't see much of a difference. I would also say that working with them was very much similar. I think that the Arteza was a tad thicker, but I could be wrong because I painted with the Master's Touch first, so maybe the Arteza dried a little bit. Otherwise, I didn't see much of a difference in terms of the feel of the paint or, you know, how it blended with water or anything like that. They both look really matte and they both feel really nice and velvety and flat. So in terms of how it feels after it dries, it's pretty good. I also painted a third strawberry in Holbein gouache, which is my favorite, just to show you guys the difference between Holbein and the Arteza and the Master's Touch. You know, they all look really nice when you look at them as a whole. I just feel like working with a more expensive gouache, everything just flowed better. Everything was just so, I don't know, perfect. To me, it's just, I just love the feel of expensive gouache and everything just was beautiful. But anyways, I still really like the Master's Touch and I really like the Arteza strawberry also. They look great. So I just wanted to do this review for you guys. I hope it helps.